All right, welcome back to the Animal House. I am the big dumb animal. And so you're noticing that I'm doing a bunch of videos recently, all kind of in a row outside of my normal couple of week. Um, that is because there's a lot going on right now, and I'm going to be moving again. So this move should be a semi-permanent one for a decent amount of time. So everything's fine, everything's going well, but I'm moving to a different state. Um, so I'm releasing a bunch of content, and there's also just a bunch of shit going on. So, you know, I just wanted to, you put out a bunch of different stuff. But today's is going to be on the Trump issue, I guess, and not necessarily a negative issue, just the Trump issue. I think that people need to be very careful with the court rulings and to do what may or may not, and to do with what may or may not have happened down the road. If we prosecute anyone, especially at the level, it opens up we as the people to an issue if we're not careful. What I mean by that is like, you know, if we go after a president, right, that president needs to be wrong and so wrong that it's unquestionable no matter what side of the fence you're on. And for the Trump stuff, not to say that he's not wrong in certain areas, like when he talks, he says certain things, or maybe business stuff, things like that. But when you're the president, I think we, the people, add a little bit of liberty to that, where him saying all of his bombastic shit, things like that, we just kind of take it. But for you to change the laws in states and have specific people come after that person when they don't do a good job, you have other people come after them in those states. I think that's where this becomes wrong. So, in saying that, I'm not necessarily a Trump fan normally, but I have to say that I'm more on the Trump boat or train recently because of options. And, me as a constitutional libertarian, I'm going to pick the best person out of the options that I have and not really care so much about my personal beliefs as far as like specific people. It's, what we have available to us. So right now we have Trump and Biden. So out of those two, I'm a Trump fan. So we'll take the news that the Trump camp is getting into being able to take the benefit from presumptive immunity versus absolute immunity from the Supreme Court. Anything within those roles of your job is absolute immunity. And so his job is absolute immunity. When he comes out and says whatever it is, that's absolute immunity. When he says, oh, this person worked for the Trump camp, or, he's like, oh, when, he says certain things about specific people that are just kind of light digs, that are kind of left field and off, that's one thing. But when he's talking from specifics. And so I I think that we need to all understand that is presumptive immunity versus absolute immunity. So, you know, and to think about the fact that he's raised hundreds of millions of dollars after his court case that we all know is BS in New York, and and the one in Atlanta, which that was a fucking bullshit show from the get-go. But the one in New York is not only over a bunch of money, but it brings in a bunch of shit that they had to change the laws in the state. Well, they had to change the laws in Georgia too. So they had to change the laws in the state of New York to bring the charges specifically for this. And then it comes out today that it doesn't look like the charges are going to even go through. So, that's it just shows you how much money and time we the people wasted over the last X amount of months going after somebody when we knew it was BS to begin with, other than these crazy leftists that are like so emotional about it that they can't seem to get past it. So, what I'm saying to everybody that pays attention or listens to the channel is we need to understand that there's a time and a place for everything, but for us to have to change laws in certain states to go after somebody when the vast majority of the people know that it's bullshit to begin with, I think shows the issues, right? So, and the other thing I think is funny is the AOC is nuts. Like, we all know that she's nuts. I mean, she says shit that's nuts. She's from New York. But she made a tweet about the Supreme Court being consumed by corruption. Well, one, why? Because it didn't fall where you wanted it to land, or it fell where you did want it to land. And this has nothing to do with the Trump case directly. She's kind of talking about, just gratifying her supporters, but it kind of fits into the same narrative with, her speaking about gratifying her supporters, but the same state, the same court systems going after Trump as well. And then, we, the people, need to be careful about what we do or do not support when it comes to this kind of stuff, because it may or may not happen. And it opens we, the people, up to massive issues, a lot more issues. And those issues could be any number of different things, from, brand new cases that have certain rights but not other rights, or things like that. It opens us up to this, like, kind of leftist law that doesn't seem to have an end to it. Think of the leftists that you see out there now. It's like, one of them or a group of them is left enough until there's nobody in the right or the center to go after. And then they start kind of eating their own for a little bit until there's somebody else to go after. And in the meantime, let's say your Diet Coke left, now somebody that's even harder left than you comes to you and eats you up. So I just want people to be aware of how sensitive and how very careful you have to be when dealing with people nowadays. But the good news is the vast majority of the states are coming up red, or they're changing from being hardcore blue to being purplish. So there's a lot more supporters in there. And if you believe the maps that are coming out so far, Trump just really has to, run for presidency in a couple of states, and he's got it locked down. So, in saying all that right now, I hope all you guys have a great day, great week. 4th of July is coming up, so we'll see you guys on the next one. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know in the comments, and we'll go into a deeper detail. See you guys on the next one.